welcome to the video. Today I am doing the Library Loves tag, I believe it's called. I was tagged by Michael Nip, and it's just a bunch of questions about your library and using your library and how much you love your library, and it's a love letter to your library. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question is, when did you first get your library card? And honestly, I was too young to remember. I've had a library card my entire life. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go into the children's section and get all my little books, and I'd go up to the counter and I had my own library card and I'd give it to the lady, and I felt so special and so grown up getting my little like Bernstein Bears books. Okay, so question 2 is, how often do you use your library? And for me, my main use of the library is actually Overdrive. I use Overdrive for ebooks and audiobooks all the time. But when it comes to actually like going to the library, I probably go about once a month. Number 3 is, have you ever had a late or lost library book? And I can say honestly, not really, and not that I remember specifically, but I do know that I had, when I was like in high school probably, I remember I went to the library once and I went to check out a book and they told me that I had a fee of like $1 or something, and I was like, that's outrageous, I didn't actually like scream at the librarian, but I didn't have the money at the time because whatever. So I just remember being like, oh, okay, and like giving them the books and leaving like really embarrassed. But that's the only time I remember. And another like quick story about this is, it wasn't me, but it was my brother. He had a book out from the library for a school project, I think it was, and it was raining one day, and one of his friends like took the book from him, and I was there. I know this wasn't just a story. Like took the book from him and was like flipping through it and dropped it in a puddle, and then my mom had to buy the book or like pay for the book, and she was so mad. And he was like, I swear I didn't do it. And I was like, he totally did it, because I'm a little sister and it's my job to get my brother in trouble. Number 4 is your favorite thing about your library. And I have 2 answers for this. Growing up, the library in my town actually had a cafe on the bottom floor, and that was my favorite thing. I remember they had the best Italian wedding soup there. So like it was my favorite thing in the world to like grab a book and go down to the cafe and get a bowl of soup and just sit there and read. I loved that. Nowadays, I would say my favorite thing is like ease of access. It's relatively close to my house, and we also have like I think 5 or 6 library branches in my city. So you're never far from a library. So I really like that. I also want to include for this question, I live in Rhode Island, and it's such a small state that our entire state is one library network. So if I want a book and my local library doesn't have it, they can legitimately just get it from any library in the state. So that's pretty awesome, because we do have some pretty good libraries in the state. So I love that. Number 5 is, are you a browser or do you plan what you're going to take out? So I'm kind of split, but I'd say I'm more of a browser. I'm probably like a browser like 85% of the time, and then like 15% of the time I have a plan when I go into the library. But the thing is, even when I have a plan, I'll go in, I'll grab the book I plan on getting, and then while I'm walking through the stacks out to the desk, like I'll see other things and I'll just grab them and be like, ooh, I want this. So like even if I have a plan, it turns into a browse. So number 6 is, name a book you took a chance on from the library. And for me, this is a really easy answer. It was Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I basically just picked it up because I was like, ooh, I've heard the name Brandon Sanderson before. And I love that book so much. It might be because it was the first one I ever read by him, but I'm pretty sure it's my favorite Sanderson. There's just something about that book. I just love it so much. The concept, the execution, the main female character. I just love that book so much. And if you haven't read Elantris, please read it and let me know what you think, because I love it so much. And that was all thanks to just browsing in the library. Number 7 is, what is the best book you've read from the library? And if you're not new to my channel, like if you've seen any of my videos, you're probably going to hate me for saying this again. But I got The Lies of Locke Lamora from the library, and that was by far like the best find ever. I mean, technically it wasn't a find because I knew, like I had heard of it before, but that's definitely my favorite book that I've ever taken out of the library, because it's one of my favorite books of all time. So easy answer. Okay, number 8 is, have you ever taken out the same book multiple times? Like checked it out? No. had books renewed? Yes, like all the time. And especially since my library does an auto renewal. So like if you haven't returned it by like 3 days before the due date, it just automatically renews for you. So yeah, I renew books all the time. Even if it's passively. Like I don't have to do anything, they just get renewed. So yes. But I don't think I've ever actually like actively gone to the library to check out a book that I've checked out before. I don't think. Okay, number 9 is, have you ever read a good book set in the library? And I've read a lot of books that like have portions of them take place in a library, but I don't think I've ever read a book that like predominantly was set in a library. If you know any good ones, let me know, because that sounds like something that I should read, right? Number 10 is, have you used your library's ebook and audiobook options? And I already answered this. I use Overdrive all the time. At this point, I almost want to say like 90% of my reading is done between ebooks and audiobooks that I get from the library. So yes. Number 11 is, which is the best library you've ever been to? And for this one, I've never been to like any of the super fancy libraries like Boston Public Library or the New York Public Library or like any like of those crazy fancy beautiful libraries. So for me, this answer is actually the Plymouth Library. I grew up in Plymouth County, Mass, and my town had like a really nice library, but it was smaller because it was a small town. And so when we went to Plymouth, I would always beg my parents to bring me to the Plymouth Library because like as a kid, that library was huge. It was the biggest library. It had so many floors and like so many books, and I could just wander around in there for hours, which is probably why my parents only took me there a few times. I just loved that library as a kid. So I'm going to say that's the best library I've ever been to. Would my opinion still be the same if I went there today? I don't know. I've probably been to better libraries, but that's the library that I remember like in my mind being the most excited about and thinking that I loved so much. And number 12 is, what would make you use your local library more? This kind of goes against one of the other answers I gave, but I would say I guess if it was closer, which is like, shut up, it's 7 minutes away. Like it's not that far away. I don't know. There's like an intersection that I don't like. You have to take a left turn in, so I mean, I guess if it was one left turn intersection closer to my house, I would use it more. But I mean, really, I go there often enough, and I use Overdrive, like I said, twice already in this video, all the time. So I don't think there's really much that could make me use it more. I guess if I was a faster reader. Like if I was a faster reader and I needed more books all the time, then I'd probably go to the library more. But that's a problem with me. That's not a problem with the library. So that's all the questions. So this was a super fun tag, and I am going to tag, hi, editing Sarah. I'm cutting out the I tag portion of this video because I'm pretty sure all the people that I tagged already did this video at this point. One of the people that I tagged, Angela, she has since tagged me in this to do this tag. So, I mean, there you go. And also, while I was talking about tagging her, just to give you some time context on how long ago I actually filmed this video, I referenced her March TBR video where she got a bunch of library books and said, oh, she just put up her March TBR where she got a bunch of library books. So it's been a while. This has been sitting around for a while. So I'm cutting that part of the video out. If you want to do this video, feel free. Feel free to say that I tagged you. Leave me a link to your video. Let me know you did it, whatever, so I can watch it. Sorry for the intrusion. Libraries are awesome, and I feel like a lot of people, like not enough people use their library. And especially on BookTube, I feel like a lot of people are just all about like buying books. Like you see nothing but book hauls on BookTube. You see so many book hauls on BookTube. So if you use your library, I want to know about it. Answer these questions if you feel like it. And yeah, this was a fun tag. Thank you to Michael Nip for tagging me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.